Hi guys, welcome to another edition on the Rangman Show. Today we have a very special guest, Dev Tyagi, who eternities back had started this channel with me. If you remember, we had spoken on Kimi Räikkönen, Tom Hanks, Nelson Mandela. That was almost 15 years back. No, actually 2 years back. But it seems like it was 15 years back. Today we are discussing a very special guest. We are discussing a legend called as Balbir Raj Kapoor. बलबीर राज कपूर कौन है? वो है हमारे प्यारे शशि कपूर. उनकी बर्थ एनिवर्सरी है आज एंड it couldn't be better than having his diehard fan Dev Tyagi paying a befitting tribute to the man, to the legend, to the icon of Indian cinema. So here it is, a tribute to Shashi Kapoor with Mr. Shashi Tyagi, I mean Dev Tyagi. तो तो देव, आप बताइए आपकी अर्लीस्ट मेमोरी क्या थी शशि कपूर की? और मैं जानता हूँ नॉर्थ पॉइंट से आप मेरे पीछे पड़े होते शशि कपूर शशि कपूर शशि कपूर, और उस
Right.
बात को 15-20 साल
Pranay,
हो गए.
Nishant, first of all, thank you so much. I'm honored, to be on this show, and it is such a special podcast episode, feature presentation. I run out of words, just like I run out of words of admiring the most dashing Kapoor that there ever was. That it means a lot to me. So Pranay, सबसे पहली memory actually North Point. तब तो यार बड़े हो गए थे. तब तो we were in, I think early 20s, unless I have my maths utterly wrong. But my first memory of glancing at this very unforgettable and beautiful face was actually watching the movie Trishul, and then subsequently on the same day watching a movie called Suhag. And interestingly, both movies had Mr. Bachchan, and my grandmom was watching these movies. So the first Shashi Kapoor song which was in my conscience was Jaaneman Kamal Karte from Trishul. And I saw that, in the movie, there was an equally beautiful, if not more, Hema Malini at the peak of her good looks and charm there. But I was just captivated by Mr. Kapoor's face. And तो अब, हर घर में जो हमारे बड़े होते हैं, they watch old movies, they are admirer of that long lost nostalgia, the days of yore. But in our house, actually, my grandmom used to like these movies. But the biggest fan around me in my family was my Taiji, Dr. Poonam Tyagi. She's a retired doctor now. She was, उस जमाने में 70s में, early 60s में, mid 60s में, having the girly crush on actors. It was not something which was very strange or something which had just fallen like a leaf from the tree. It was very common. So जैसे हम ये किस्सा सुनते हैं कि देवानंद, for example, the great Devanand was banned from wearing black. There were so many girls who would actually plant kisses on the Mercedes of Mr. Rajesh Khanna. There were so many girls who used to write love letters to Shashi Kapoor. My Taiji told me about one instance herself. And and my dad also used to admire Shashi Kapoor a lot. He recounts this very famous episode that when 1973 में उनकी फिल्म आई थी आग गले लग जा, जिसमें वो गाना है तेरा मुझसे पहले का नाता कोई, जो मैं डिस्क्राइब करता हूँ विद माय बॉन्ड विद यू आल्सो, द मिस्टर साउथ अफ्रीकन प्रोटीन. सो उस फिल्म का प्रीमियर था दिल्ली के उस जमाने के एलिट सिनेमा हॉल में. सो माय फादर रिकाउंट्स विद वेरी बॉयश वंडर स्टिल इन हिज वॉइस, इंटैक्ट, दैट एक मर्सिडीज आके रुकती है थिएटर के बाहर, दरवाजा खुलता है, brown shoes, blue trousers, blue coat, white, pink shirt, and pink skin, even pink skin. And Shashi Kapoor is there, and then he's like, "Hi everybody," he's in his own. And my father was like awestruck. He said, I hadn't yet encountered a man who was as charming as he was beautiful." So yeah, that's a bit about Shashi Kapoor. That's how these instances, and then they build up your hype about person. They pique your interest, and then you suddenly realize you're a die-hard fan, as am I.
थोड़ा करके भी तो दिखा दो देव.
भाई देखिए, आप लोगों से बात करके कमाल हो गया है.
एक्चुअली हमारे बीच सिर्फ देव त्यागी फैन नहीं है, निशांत भी बहुत बड़े फैन है. वो भी कुछ करके दिखाएंगे निशांत.
Hey, I'm not like a fan. I just like to read. But what शशि कपूर के बारे में बेस्ट चीज जो मुझे लगी है was his debut in Dharmaputra, which was such a interesting film to debut with such a sensitive subject. Um, I think it was Yash Chopra's second or third film, if I'm not mistaken. I think third film, and it did horribly on the box office, but the film tackled such an important subject of the partition at that point of time. Maybe the scars of partition were very fresh at that point of time, but it deals with the Hindu-Muslim communal issue in such a poignant way, and Shashi Kapoor's performance stands out. That film is available on YouTube, by the way, for everybody to watch for free. I think it's a 1961 film. And this, the twist in the film, I'm not going to reveal the twist in the film, but the twist in the film is so poignant that it'll move everybody to tears, and you'd think like, how is this happening? Why are we still fighting? Why are we still fighting on the basis of religion after having such a bloody aftermath of like of 47 in some ways or the other? So for me, Dharmaputra sort of stood out. Apart from that, yeah, Diwar and all of those rules, so the Trishul, like they mentioned, and Diwar and all of that, wo sab hai, but wo that kind of tidbit got to me, and I started wondering that what kind of a man is this actor who would, for his debut film, will make such a bold choice.
Right.
Well said.
Guys, मेरे पास माँ है.
Yeah,
Iconic.
absolutely.
So
There
Dev,
have been many. So you rightly pointed out, "Mere paas maa hai." I think this dialogue, Pranay, correct me if I'm wrong, will still stand the tests of time in terms of people recollecting the great Shashi Kapoor. You know, the most charming son of the Kapoor Khandan, and I mean, here was an actor जो ऐसा नहीं था कि अमिताभ बच्चन के स्क्रीन पे होने में, एक सीन में होने पे हल्के पड़े, वो उन पे भारी पड़ते थे. एंड अमिताभ बच्चन के साथ इतनी फिल्म्स करी हैं. उन्होंने भी कभी करी है, उन्होंने सुहाग करी है, उन्होंने त्रिशूल करी है, उन्होंने दीवार करी है. द लिस्ट इज एंडलेस. एंड it is very easy for everybody to try and impact people, to try and be loud, and to try and make an effort to be everybody's favorite. But he was everybody's favorite because Shashi Kapoor sort of epitomized a dying trait, that easygoing effervescence. Even today, what me like, if I think about it and if I write an article about him, we don't have that kind of a DNA of a man. We don't have that kind of a you can't describe Shashi Kapoor's machismo. If Nishant and Pranay, if you can understand what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
because he was one of a kind there. I mean, as a man, he was extremely beautiful, and as a soul, he was extremely well-meaning, which is a very rare combination. So when you talk of Feroz Khan and when you talk of Vinod Khanna, who, by the way, are no less incredibly good-looking actors, they've done so much for Indian cinema. अभी निशान ने शुरू में एक बात करी थी when we were discussing before the recording about a raw machismo. So those two
Yeah.
actors, they kind of epitomize that. But Shashi Kapoor had a very soft veneer, a very easygoing presence. And I think that is a dying trait when a man, the great Hollywood actor James Dean, who died at the age of 24, said that if a man is remembered decades on from the time of his death, then probably he was a great man. Here was a man who's still remembered for that smile, the Shashi Kapoor smile. And I mean, I don't know, I can go on and on about it, but he was just one of a kind, and he'll always be.
I think
Just
he'll be remembered for centuries to come also. It's not just decades, I think. I think he's one of the finest, most good-looking, happy,
Yeah,
versatile characters on screen. और उनको देख के जितना भी आप परेशान होते थे ना, एक स्माइल आ जाती थी आपके फेस पे. मेरा ये डेफिनेटली
exactly,
मानना था. I
exactly.
mean,
Exactly. And don't you think that this is, when I said a dying trait, this is that dying trait that people have they tend to take themselves a bit too seriously. You and me have had countless discussions about people getting embroiled in their career, getting, sinking into that quicksand, and then it leads to depression and all that. ऐसा नहीं है कि शशि कपूर की लाइफ में डिप्रेशन नहीं था. शशि कपूर की लाइफ में अपने अलग डिप्रेशन थे. So three brothers, right? The eldest being the great, the glorious Raj Kapoor, the mega gladiator of Hindi cinema.
yeah.
Then Manjle Bhai jo the, Shamsher Raj Kapoor, aka Shammi Kapoor, the youngest was Shashi Kapoor. They lost their mom, right? Uh, Three sons of Prithvi Raj Kapoor. Shashi Kapoor, eventually in his life, he happened to lose the woman he ever loved. And so
Yeah, correct.
committed was he to this one single woman that उन्होंने घर से निकलना बंद कर दिया. He just took from romancing the movies to romancing the bottle. And then in the end, he died. I won't say a lonely man, because luckily आज के जमाने में ऐसे कर्मनिष्ठ बच्चे हैं जैसे उनके हैं. Sanjana Kapoor took care of every single need of his life, of an aging parent, two avid sons, Karan and Kunal Kapoor, very successful individuals in their own right. But Shashi Kapoor had kind of switched off. So when you actually tend to look back at his movies and the jovial person that he was, the happiness that he epitomized, versus Nishant, the person that he became eventually, a sad, forlorn man, extremely
Yeah.
overweight and relegated to a wheelchair. My father claims that in his final years of Shashi Kapoor's life, he bumped into him at the India Habitat Center. And he said, I just could not believe that this was that glorious, good looking man of Aakari Lagcha. So these are the changing vagaries of time. Not everybody ages gracefully, and uh, he was relegated to a sense of despair from which he just couldn't come out of. But that's what
But
it
Possibly,
is. But
he did direct a film, no, in the 90s. I think Ajuba, Amitabh Bachchan, 91. I
yeah,
think
it
he
was
yeah,
a
directed a film
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
massive
Where
commercial
Amitabh
failure.
Bachchan says he has a tale where Shashi Kapoor used to walk around with a cane, sabki class lene ke liye, but he never touched anyone, obviously. But he just like it was just a fun thing where he was the magician as well, who was trying to
Yeah,
pull out a rabbit out of that proverbial hat.
yeah,
But interesting that you talk about raw machismo and all of that in terms of Shashi Kapoor's having that very easy, effervescent sort of a charm, but also there was steel in his eyes. And that
yeah.
steel is kind of epitomized right now in his grandson, if I may say. I just finished watching Black Warrant very fairly late, to be very honest. But Zahan Kapoor also has that sort of a very quiet, very quiet manliness, if I may call it, like it a very, very quiet manliness where the steel is in the eyes, the resolve is in the eyes. लेकिन ऐसा कुछ आउटवर्डली माचो नहीं है कि एंग्री यंग मैन एरा का नहीं है सो वेयर देयर वाज अ अमिताभ बच्चन हु एपिटोमाइज्ड द एंग्री यंग
Yeah.
मैन एरा which you can also see in today's time in every movie that you see. If you see a Pushpa or if you see an RRR and everything, the cinema world is full of angry young men. So there has to be a foil that has to serve as these, I will not call them sensitive, but affable, um, charming, yet full of resolve young men who can also serve as
Correct.
a altered state of masculinity, which can like coexist with this angry young man state of
Yeah.
masculinity that we have come back again. So I think
So well
वो बहुत
said.
interesting चीज होगा, and Zahan Kapoor is kind of embodying that, which I really really uh, enjoyed.
Yeah, I think we need more Kapoors in our world. As many Kapoors as we need Bachchans, I would
No,
say.
more
But yeah,
talented
so well
Kapoors.
put there.
more more talented Kapoors.
Right.
Speaking of which, in terms of his one more thing about Shashi Kapoor is while he and Jennifer Kendall, who was his wife, I think she was part of Shakespeare Anna, and I forget
Shakespeare and a traveling company. Yeah.
Prithviraj Kapoor's touring theater group. I keep forgetting the name, but I
Prithvi.
think no, there was a touring group name. Prithvi was the theater that was made later once after
No,
he
so he
died. That was
started it as the Prithvi touring group only, and then it became the
perhaps,
who
yeah,
other
yeah.
thing.
So
Yeah,
Prithvi touring group, and then they
yeah.
basically made the Prithvi theater. Jennifer and Shashi Kapoor made the Prithvi theater. But interestingly, what also caught my eye was Shashi Kapoor has produced one of the first famous English language films in India, which is 36 Chaurangi Lane, which was directed by Aparna Sen. I come from that side of the country, so I know a little more about Bengali cinema. So it was directed by Aparna Sen, and she was not getting a financier. And Shashi Kapoor read the script, and he's like, "I will produce it." And he got
Right.
and Jennifer Kendall actually acted in that film as an Anglo-Indian English teacher who used to stay in Chaurangi, which is a place in Calcutta. And she actually was nominated for the BAFTA for this role. So
Okay.
Shashi Kapoor basically started this trend of having this small slew of English language films in India. That was the first film was produced by Shashi Kapoor. He laments that it didn't make any money. He actually put money into theaters so that this film could be screened. But
Right.
to think of a man who basically he's not even acting in the film. He's not doing anything. This was 1981, I think, and 81, 82. He was at the star of he was at the peak of his career. His wife was there. His wife was basically playing one of the lead roles in this film. Imagine that guy. He's like, no, I will put money into this film and I will see where it goes and I will push it as far as possible. And that film kind of opened doors for a lot of other filmmakers. I mean, Aparna Sen is legendary in today's day and age. Uh, and it is sort of and I read somewhere that he invested money only in movies and theater. He did not have any other commercial interests. So जो बोला कि
Right.
पैसे का क्या करना है, इस आर्ट को ही आगे बढ़ाना है, ये फिल्म और थिएटर आर्ट फॉर्म को ही आगे बढ़ाना है, which is where Pranay said spoke about the Prithvi traveling group, which actually became the Prithvi Theatre in, I think, the early 70s. By these, that is how it came into vogue.
So actually, it's interesting you point that out because Shashi Kapoor and Calcutta have a not
Yeah,
same, but
yeah.
they definitely have an intricate connection. He was born in the city of
Born.
Calcutta.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where he first met his wife when he was just 18. I think the year was 1956 because Shashi Ji was born in 1938. He met her in 1956 or वो जो typical Bollywood होता है कि पहली नजरों में आपको प्यार हो गया, and then he mustered enough courage to bring up the topic of marrying her first to elder brother Shammi Kapoor, and Shammi Kapoor was a die-hard romantic himself. So Shammi Kapoor and Shammi Kapoor's better half supported Shashi Kapoor's idea, and then it was Shashi Kapoor was not accepted from the bride's side, from Jennifer G's side, but of course Jennifer had fallen head over heels in love with him. Interestingly, in the city of Calcutta, there is a hotel called the Elgin Fair Lawn Hotel,
I
whose
know that.
room 17 is what was inhabited by these two lovebirds, and it is still preserved, Pranay,
Oh,
as the
nice.
Shashi Kapoor suite, adorning photos of that bygone era. And when Shashi Kapoor was in the peak of his youth, the elixir of youth, and all those die-hard good looks. And yeah, so वो room आज भी preserved है. People go and visit it and pay their homage to this effervescent candle, the light of Bollywood cinema. And Nishan, that point about English movies and producing movies in which he believed in, जिसमें उनका vision था. He is actually India's first crossover star. The amount of collaborations that he has had with Ivory Merchant Productions, I beg your pardon, are something to note about. He worked with two of the prettiest women at that time, Madhur Jaffrey and Leela Naidu. Shakespeare Walla was one of the movies, and The Householder was one of the movies. And yeah, these were just the early 22, 23 days. But the movie which sort of made Shashi Kapoor burst onto the Bollywood film screen was Jab Jab Phool Khile, a mid-60s movie. At that time, all the big budgeted actresses of Hindi cinema did not work with him. The only person who came forward and said, "No, no, I believe in Shashi and I'll do several films with him," was the film actress Nanda. और तब जब जब फूल खिले आई एंड देन उसके बहुत ब्यूटीफुल सॉन्ग्स आए, परदेसियों से नाखियां मिलाना एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. सो या दैट वाज द स्टार्ट ऑफ मेस्मराइजिंग जर्नी.
पर आप देव, आपकी जिंदगी में भी जब आप शशि कपूर के बारे में सोचते हो तो वही आता ना, जब जब फूल खिले.
जब जब फूल खिले, त्रिशूल इज माय ऑल टाइम फेवरेट फिल्म बिकॉज आई लाइक द एफेबल कैरेक्टर
यू नो,
दैट ही इज.
त्रिशूल में आई थिंक संजीव कुमार भी एक बड़े प्यारे एक्टर थे. आई मीन,
कोर्स
he
इज अ
was also he
लेजेंड.
also epitomized good acting है. I mean, वो बहुत जल्दी चले गए,
एब्सोल्युटली
बट
लेजेंडरी.
और जो फादर सन जैसे उन्होंने स्क्रीन पे शेयर की थी शशि कपूर के साथ, इट वाज फैंटास्टिक.
And I think Trishul, the Trident, philosophically was, I think it couldn't have been a better reflection of the film's characters and the characters' on-screen persona. So, as Nishant rightly said, Amitabh Bachchan stood for the angry young man in those days, and here was Sanjeev, the
कुमार.
great Sanjeev Kumar as the very methodical, very shrewd
Old school
business.
patriarch sort of a thing.
Yeah,
Like a very old school
and
patriarch, if I may
yeah.
call it.
And Shashi Kapoor returns from the West in the movie, at least they show, having wanted to become originally a musician, but then his father gives him the reality business. He takes over that, and then he goes for a business meeting with Hema Malini in the film, to Hema Malini's office, and then that film is an understudy on how to flirt with women when he, as Shekhar Gupta, visits the office of Hema Malini for a tender or some business collaboration, and then he's starstruck to see a female, a lady, leading a business, and then he impromptu delivers a speech on so-called women's liberation and female empowerment, and next scene is that he's taken her out for a date. So that was Shashi Kapoor, in
Smooth,
a sense.
smooth,
Yeah.
real smooth.
I think 70s में he sort of made a very nice father-son camaraderie also with कभी कभी, because हमेशा
Yes.
में लगता था कि father-son is always like, father is the strict guy, the son needs to look up to the father, कोई friendly
Yeah.
conversations नहीं हो सकती, and then the two
You're so
Kapoor
right on
completely
point.
changed it.
Have you guys seen Kabhi Kabhi yourself?
Oh, of course.
Okay,
Yes.
so there is that scene in which Rishi Kapoor is speaking to his love interest on the phone. He gets under the table and he's away from the catchy eyes, the prying eyes of the father. That scene was entirely done extempore. It was improvised upon by none other than Shashi
Oh,
Kapoor himself. And I mean, just the kind of persona that he brought to the screen in Kabhi Kabhi, and he is the husband to a jilted lover, the one who still hasn't perhaps moved on. He's moved on, but still the memories of the past lover cling to her mind all the time. Played avidly, wonderfully by the great Rakhi Ji, with whom he did several movies, of course, in his heydays, including Sharmili in the 70s. Um, and then, of course, there is this scene when, so the oddity about the scene that an ex-lover is being interviewed by Shashi Kapoor's current wife, and then they come out of the recording studio and he's just outside the door, and then the moment his wife catches him standing outside, he says, "आपकी चोरी पकड़ी गई ना, हमने भी कच्ची गोलियां नहीं खेली हैं." He breaks into a smile, and then he coaxes, rather requests Amitabh Bachchan to come to his residence, have a drink, and उसके बाद he recites to Amitabh Bachchan one of Amitabh Bachchan's on-screen shares, those two wonderful lines, and he says, कभी रास्ते में मिल जाओ तो कतरा के गुजर जाना, हमें इस तरह तकना जैसे पहचाना नहीं तुमने, हमारा जिक्र जब आए तो यूं अनजान बन जाना जैसे जान कर भी पहचाना नहीं तुमने. So he was just
क्या
marvelous
बात,
in that movie.
क्या बात, क्या बात. You think you actually remember this, Mujabani? क्या बात.
I do. Yeah. I really am, around me, I think the most ardent Shashi Kapoor fan ever. There's not a day that goes by where at least I don't hum one or two of his songs. So it's just what it is. Yeah, I'm an old school, I would say.
Nishant.
Old school. I don't quite know about that, but what I really like about him is I think after his wife's death, a couple of years after his wife's death, I think he was interviewed by a reporter, a journalist, and he was asked that, would you not marry again or something like that? And he's like, my wife was a 1934 model, very well built. They don't make them anymore. And that is very ended. And he did it with a smile and he just ended it. It was not like an objectification. It was just like a tribute to this woman that he's like, this is the woman of my dreams. This is the woman I have wanted to spend my life with. This is the woman I've spent my life with for whatever. And these are the memories I want to carry forward. I do not
Right.
want anybody else's to occupy that particular space. I built a shrine for her in my mind. And that is how it should be. I don't think it gets any more old school than that.
Yeah, it doesn't. And Nishan, that is when there weren't that many Bollywood actresses who hadn't nursed a crush on him. For example, Shabana Azmi, for example,
Yeah.
Steve Lewal, for example, even Neetu Kapoor, who he romanced on screen in Diwar, in that song Keh Do Tumhe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ये जो समय की आप बात कर रहे हैं, मतलब this is at a time where Bollywood had actually gotten into full-blown romance, 80s, when Shashi Kapoor
Yeah.
had sort of become old, there was Chandni, Rishi Kapoor was doing all kinds of romantic stuff. But a little throwback to the 60s, running 60s and 70s, I just want to list out some of the most amazing movies, the films that sort of epitomize Shashi Kapoor. So it started out in 1965 with Jab Jab Phool Khile. 3 years later, in 1968, came Kanyadan with the great Asha Parekh, one of the most mesmerizingly beautiful women ever. जिसमें वो गाना है, लिखे जो खत तुझे तेरी याद में हजारों रंग के. um, in same year, 1968 came Hasina Maan Jayegi. You have to see a song called O Dilbar Janiye. He's racing some, I think, I don't know, some very brilliant Cadillac or something. And then Kareena Kapoor's mom, his sister-in-law, actually, she's there in
Yeah.
the movie romancing her. In 69 came Pyar Ka Mausam. And Tum Bin Jaun Kahan Ke Duniya Mein Aake. This song is from that movie. 71 was Sharmili. Again, a beautiful movie, laced with glorious songs. 73 was Aagale Lag Ja, smash it. Sharmila Tagore, Shashi Kapoor at the peak of their charm and good looks. 74 was Shor Machaye Shor. 75 was Diwar, Mere Paas Maa Hai, Pranay, you said. 1976 was Kabhi Kabhi, one of my all-time favorite films. 76 was Fakira. 78 was Trishul. So he was a 40-year-old man in Trishul. And that beautiful song, Mohabbat Bade Kaam Ki Cheez Hai. I think Pranay, I've bored you enough with that song. Whenever I visit Bombay, एक बार तो मैं चला ही लेता हूँ आप.
जब आप वो
So
गाना बोल रहे थे ना, कह दूं तुम्हें यहाँ चुप रहा हूँ दिल में मेरे आज क्या है, आई थिंक इट्स अ वेरी नाइस अप्रेजल डायलॉग टू हैव.
yeah, not the appraisal of the HR, I know. Now you'll say appraisal in the romantic part of life. But
Exactly.
बट
एक बड़ा interesting. Go ahead,
आप
go
जब
ahead.
बता रहे थे कि शशि कपूर वाज 40 व्हेन त्रिशूल came एंड ही स्टिल प्ले द यंगर ब्रदर ऑफ अमिताभ बच्चन, तो मतलब एज
Yeah,
तो उनके फेस पे कभी रिफ्लेक्ट ही नहीं हुई.
हाँ, in those days तो
एटलीस्ट
बिल्कुल.
इन द 70s और इवन दीवार में ही प्लेड द यंगर ब्रदर, तो मतलब दैट वाज फैंटास्टिक. और वो एटलीस्ट अमिताभ से 4 साल बड़े थे, इफ आई एम नॉट मिस्टेकन. और
Absolutely.
तब भी प्लेइंग द
वो
यंगर
अमिताभ बच्चन
ब्रदर
को
वाज.
बबुआ बुलाते थे प्यार से. He used to refer to him as Babua. And that's that. But there is also a cricketing story related to Shashi Kapoor. So one of his classmates back in those glorious days of Bombay was none other than celebrated Indian cricketer Farooq Engineer. So there's
Oh.
this instance that in the classroom, Shashi Kapoor was not paying enough attention to the teacher. He became angry. He threw a duster at great speed at him. And the person who actually caught the duster before it could reach his beautiful face, Shashi Kapoor's face, was Farooq Engineer. सो फारूक इंजीनियर टोल्ड हिम कि शशि अगर वो डस्टर तेरे ऊपर आ जाता था ना तो तू उतना हैंडसम लगता नहीं तो देखो से विलन का रोल मिलता. सो ही वुड जोक टू हिम अबाउट दिस इंस्टेंस. So in many ways, Farooq engineer saved a beautiful face,
So
and
he
thus
engineered Shashi Kapoor's good looks.
he engineered Shashi Kapoor. He saved it.
Correct me if I am wrong. If my cricket knowledge is failing me, wasn't Farid Engineer also a wicket keeper at one point of time?
Yeah,
Did
he
he become a
was.
wicket? Yeah, he was, right?
A very good looking
So
man
And he was
himself.
one of
So
the
now we
long
know where those
proudest men
reflexes
at
came from.
Lord's when India won the 1983 World Cup. I think he was on commentary there.
Sorry, come again?
I'm saying he was one of the proudest men at
Huh.
Lord's when India won the World Cup in 1983. He was on
Oh, yeah, he was
commentary.
one of the commentators,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
it from the
yeah.
83 film, to be very
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
तो देव और
Same
And
कुछ
as
then
the
बताइए.
cricketing
And
हमारे
then
anecdotes.
पास
there have
पांच
been some
मिनट है.
very interesting, there have been some very interesting on-screen pairings also of Shashi Kapoor. Like people don't know that he actually was in an ensemble cast, Nishant, with Dharmendra Ji, the great, the legendary, the evergreen Dharmendra Ji on the big screen in the movie Krodhi. There was a film called Prem Kahani in which he was paired alongside, I can't recollect the actress. There was the legendary Rajesh Khanna in the movie. So Shashi Kapoor's collaborations, I mean, of course, when you talk about Waqt, it was already a mega ensemble cast. One of the
Hmm.
greatest movies made at that time. We've spoken about his collaborations with Amitabh Bachchan, even Italian women. Before Shashi Kapoor started doing these commercial pot boilers, which became successful, even Italian women had a crush on him. So ये एक instance है early 60s का. He was on the film set of Shakespeare Valla, the movie.
Ah,
And there was an Italian actress called Gina Lola who sent Shashi Kapoor a bouquet of flowers. But she addressed on the bouquet of flowers the name Madhur, thinking that Shashi Kapoor's name is Madhur, when actually Madhur was Madhur Jaffrey, the actress. So the flowers never reached him. And she met him next day at this was, I think this instance was in Berlin, unless I'm very much mistaken. And she said, तो आपने मेरा वो ठुकरा दिया. He said, मुझे तो आपके फूल मिले ही नहीं. वो मिल गए मधुर जाफरी को. So here's women hitting on a man even before it was a common thing. So such were Shashi Baba's good looks. And Shashi Baba is actually the nickname that sort of stuck on by from that days. Even what Moshmi Chatterjee recollects that he would say either call me Shashi uncle, and because we are going to shoot romantic scenes, so not uncle, just call me Shashi Baba. So that's how it stuck on for years. And there are countless stories, Pranay. If you just recollect his songs, whether it is Likhe Jo Khat Tujhe, or there's this beautiful black and white number with Nanda ji called Theheriye Hosh Mein Aaloo To Chale Jaiega. Beautiful song. Or you talk of the songs of Diwar, you talk of the songs of Trishul, Mohabbat Bade Kaam Ki Cheez Hai, ya Jaaneman Tum Kamal Karte Ho. All these songs beautifully picturized in Delhi, I think at the Delhi Golf Club, when Delhi used to be a city, not a cesspool of potholes and issues. But let's not go there. Countless many hits. And yeah, I mean, I mean, he's my man crush. I just can't stop admiring the man for what he did. A man of substance, a very well-read man, a man who actually placed relationships on a very, very high pedestal in his life. Who did not look at you as a commercial opportunity to, milk out all the money from you, but he valued the human bond, and that's why the legends around Shashi Kapoor have, stood the passages of time.
I think no time
which
is
is
enough
very
to
kind of
pay tribute to him, but हमारे पास अभी 2.5 मिनट बाकी हैं, तो Dev or Nishan just like have some good parting thoughts on him, and let's end the beautiful
parting
Sunday.
notes is just what Dave said about him not actually Shashi Kapoor not actually like कोई कमर्शियल अपॉर्चुनिटी को नहीं देख के कमर्शियल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू को नहीं देख के आर्ट फॉर आर्ट सेक को प्रमोट करने के लिए जो स्टेप्स उनसे शुरू हुए हैं दे हैव बीन काइंड ऑफ लाइक वी आर स्टिल रीपिंग द बेनिफिट्स ऑफ दैट राइट आई मीन पृथ्वी थिएटर हाउसेस 540 shows every year which is insane. It's off on Mondays, but 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. apart from 6 days a week, Prithvi Theatre is operating. We operate at least 2 shows a day, if not more, but at least 2 shows. 540 shows ho rahe hain. That is been one of his greatest contributions. And also, one more thing is like what he said, like the charm and the good looks and wo manners hota hai, tehzeeb wali jo baat hoti hai.
He's a true,
One
true
incident
gentleman.
I was just reading about. I don't know if this was Shabana Azmi's debut film or her first film with Shashi Kapoor. And there was a scene which was supposed to be a very, and her first day of shoot, it was supposed to be a very intimate song or something like that. And she was like, I can't do this. How will I do this here? I can't
He
do this. And
scolded her.
Shashi Kapoor went and like, he kind of like, Arey, tu kya, actor banna. He kind of made fun of her. But when she came out of the vanity after like a couple of hours or whatever, she realized that Shashi Kapoor had made the choreographer change all the steps so that she was more comfortable to do that.
Right.
So that sort of shows that it's not just about कि मेरे को I don't want to take advantage of anyone, or I don't want to do it for the sake of the art. I also want that other person who I'm performing with to feel comfortable on set as well, which is a huge thing. I mean, that's a huge green flag, if I may call it in today's Gen Z parlance. जो green flag, red flag होता है, this is massive green flag behavior.
People ask me what worth is a smile. And to that I say, maybe at the surface it seems nothing at all. It doesn't signify worldly possessions, doesn't stand for material wealth, has none of it all. But there was once this smile that drew envy from men and charmed the girls. It could rescue one from darkness and could point to all the light in the world. It could light up chandeliers when one thought everything was dingy. It could give hope to those who had none. It gave reasons to the exhausted, the reason to walk many a mile. What must be noted is that in a world where people are often bereft of any, here was a man who magnified beauty, epitomized joy, and brought a sense of endlessness to what the world needs more than ever. That's all.
So I think these were beautiful words from Dev Tyagi, ardent admirer of Balbir Raj Kapoor, aka Shashi Kapoor, and even
AKA
Nishant,
Shashi Baba.
aka Shashi Baba, and Nishant also, who spoke beautifully about Shashi Kapoor's early pursuits and theatre, and his wife, and me, who just said Mere paas maa hai, which we all agree with. So this was another edition on the Rangman Show with Nishant, with Dave, and we'll bring you more such meaningful content. I think just spend 87 minutes admiring Shashi Kapoor today because we're celebrating his 87th birth anniversary. और उतना time नहीं है, 87 minutes तो आप दिन में निकाल ही सकते हो. So I think I just want to part with that, and thank you guys for coming on the show. It was really awesome.
Thank you, Pranay, for Mega Show and for giving me the opportunity to speak on a man who still means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you,
please like,
Nishant.
share, subscribe, and
Thank you, Pranay.
till we bring you more meaningful content. This is Nishant, Pranay, and Dev signing off. Thank you.
Ciao.